What is up, Colts Nation? Welcome to the Metaverse. I am your host, Meta, and today we are going to go through the top 5 areas of need that the Colts need to hit in the 2024 NFL Draft. Crazy enough, the draft is 1 month away, and the Colts have been a little quiet in free agency, adding a few pieces like Joe Flacco to back up Anthony Richardson and Roquan Davis to help with the defensive line. But the draft coming up, the Colts need to address a lot of things since they were really silent in free agency. They're going to need to hit hard in the draft. Now, I am going to mention one honorable mention that I have before we get into the top 5 list, and I believe it is safety. With the uncertainty around Julian Blackmon, I think the Colts should take a look at safety. Some of these safety prospects coming up in the draft looked pretty good. I can't name any off the top of my head, but there's a lot of solid secondary pieces in this draft. And we also have Daniel Scott, who we drafted last year out of West Virginia. He unfortunately tore his ACL in training camp, but they said in the reports that he looked pretty good. So I would not mind if we dipped into safety a little bit as an honorable mention. But for now, let's get into the top 5 list. Starting at number 5, I got offensive line. Now, the offensive line did really good last season, but if someone went down with injury, it became a little bit of an issue, especially at that guard position. I do think there's a lot of good guard draft prospects coming up in the draft. We re-signed Danny Pinter, who is a good guard and center, which is a great depth piece, but I do think we need to add a little bit more on that offensive line so that maybe we could get some of these starting guys some good backups so that maybe they can get some rest in between some of these reps. Coming in at number 4, which I believe is a very important area of need, is defensive line. Now, defensive line was a very big problem for the Colts last year. Now, as a whole unit, they improved a lot, but Grover Stewart got suspended last year for 6 games due to PEDs, and the Colts' run defense was terrible. They were getting gashed up front. We missed Stewart dearly, and we did not have a huge run stopper in the middle of that line to replace Grover Stewart during that time. Now, the Colts did sign Roquan Davis from Miami in free agency, who is 6'7" and 300 pounds. That is a monster in the middle. I think that was a great signing to help with that and complement Grover Stewart in a way. We also re-signed Taven Bryant, who did okay as a rotational guy, but I do think looking into the draft, I do think defensive line should at least get looked at to get some more guys in the rotation to hopefully stop the run. Okay, coming up at number 3, it is edge. Now, what is the difference between the Colts and all of the playoff teams that came into this year? They all, most of them at least, had a dominant edge rusher who could change the game at any moment. The Browns, you have a Myles Garrett. You got the Steelers, who've got a TJ Watt. The Texans even, they have Will Anderson Jr., who is a rookie, but he did very good in his rookie year, and I think he's going to turn into one of those elite pass rushers. The Colts need that. They need someone who can get pressure at an immediate notice, which will help the defensive line, as I said in the previous spot, to get more pressure onto that quarterback. Now, do I expect them to use their first round pick to get an edge guy? I don't think so. But if they went edge in round 1, I honestly would not be mad at it because I could see why they would want to do that. You got people like Jared Verse. You got Laiatu Latu. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. And you got Chop Robinson. Those 3 guys, I think, could really help on this defense and really impact the defense right away. I watched Chop Robinson at Penn State because I'm a Penn State fan. I know that dude can play. So even if they want to go for him in round 2, if he's not there in round 1, I wouldn't mind that either. But edge is for sure a very important piece that the Colts need to address in this draft. Coming in at number 2, it is receiver and or tight end. Now, I'm surprised. You're probably wondering why I have this at 2. I will get there when we get to number 1. But one thing that is needed on this offense is an explosive playmaker. Now, we re-signed Michael Pittman Jr. and extended him for the next 3 years. That was very important, and I'm glad that they did that because he's truly earned it. He silenced all those doubters saying that he wasn't a number 1 wide receiver. This past year proved it. Now, what Michael Pittman really needs is a number 2 who can complement him well. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, what about Alec Pierce? You know, he had some great plays last year. I agree with you. He's a good deep threat, but I don't see him taking the next step as an all-around wideout. If you bring him in to go deep and hit a home run, great. I think he's great for that scenario, but we need someone on the other side who could really enhance Michael Pittman's talents while also helping out with the offense. Josh Downs last year was a great pickup for the slot. He has great hands, he has great speed, and he's a playmaker. Now, continuing with that, the Colts have had meetings with Brock Bowers, the top tight end prospect from Georgia, at the Combine, and recently they had a meeting with Xavier Worthy from Texas, which that would be an interesting pick because he broke the Combine record for the 40-yard dash. We all know how those turn out, but it still would intrigue me a little bit if they were to go after him. But for me, I think this is the first round draft pick that they will use if they could get someone like Brian Thomas Jr., Adonai Mitchell, Rome Aduzie, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, someone of that caliber to help elevate this offense into the next step that I know they could take. Because last year, finished top 10 in points with a backup quarterback. That's amazing. What can they do to take this team to the next level? And finally, at number 1, I do think corner is the most important position that the Colts need to look at. Considering all of free agency, they did not add a single corner or safety for that matter, but most importantly, a corner. After seeing how the corners did last year, it kind of baffles me that we didn't sign anyone. Now, I know what everyone's going to say, that they tried to trade for L'Jarius Sneed. They had those conversations, and we don't know where that's at because now the Titans are also in play. I kind of just moved past it at this point. I really don't think the Colts will get Sneed, so now the next thing that they have to do is address it into the draft. Now, looking at the Colts cornerback room, we re-signed Kenny Moore. That's a great veteran re-signing. He did excellent for us last year. Rookies Julius Brent and Jalen Jones looked promising. They had their moments, but they still need time to develop, especially Juju Brent, because he spent some time out with injury. I do think he's going to be a stud. He just needs maybe some veteran presence. Maybe if they try to sign someone in to get that started. But Jalen Jones did pretty good for a 7th round pick last year. So that's great. And then we aren't talking about Darrell Baker Jr. because my God, did he get burnt a lot last year. I know he's not a starter now, but good God, we need more corners because he is not it. Now, looking at the potential class of the cornerbacks coming into the draft, there's a lot of people that they could choose from. My personal favorite is Keon Mitchell from Toledo. My God, is he the perfect package for a corner. You also got Cooper DeJean, but I think he's going to go in the top 10. He's no doubt the best corner in this draft. They could go Kool-Aid McKinstry as well. There's so many options at corner in this draft that the Colts could get that I really think would help elevate this defense, because that was more so the weak point of the Colts last year, was the defense and that secondary. So I really think that adding a corner, a top corner in this draft, will really elevate this defense. But those are my top 5 draft needs for the Indianapolis Colts coming up in the 2024 draft. If you have something that I did not mention in this video, drop it down in the comments below. I'm always willing to listen to you guys in the comments below and also interact with you guys. That's the main goal of my channel. So you guys can find me at meda_streams on X or Twitter. And you can also follow my TikTok account at meda.610. I do like to respond to people on there as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, go Colts.